All right, come on in here. Let's just circle up, face each other. Don't stand still. We can move our hips and we can start singing. We got a question we can sing together. And that question is, it's coming up in a lot of us. I think it's a question, I hear it going through us from mouth to ear and ear to mouth. Here it goes like this. Am I doing what I can do? Am I doing what I thought at one time I was destined to do? I mean, we have dreams of helping our neighborhood, helping the planet Earth. We have dreams of helping our larger community, our city, and the biome, the animals and plants and the ecosystems. We had a feeling that we could be in and of the earth around us. And it was a good feeling. And we shared it with our loved ones. And we said, let's do this together as a community. Let's be alive and live for life. Well, there's no answer. There's no quantifiable, there's no decisive answer. There's no expert walking up with the answer. This is a question that has its own value as a question. And it may be that if we repeat the question enough, that an answer will come to us from an unlikely angle, from an unlikely source, maybe a dream, a stray thought, or a loved one in conversation. So let's just sing it now for a little bit. All right, here we go. Am I doing what I can do? Am I doing what I thought I could do? Am I doing what I know I must do for my community, for my planet Earth? Am I doing what I can do? Am I doing what I can do? Somebody give me an earth hallelujah here today. Hallelujah.
I lived in a forest.
Oh, the birds sang.
I lived in a tree.
And the birds sang.
I lived in a forest.
Oh, the birds sang.
I lived in a tree.
And the birds sang.
I lived in a forest.
Oh, the birds sang.
I lived in a tree. And a tree is the opposite of a cup. Of a cup.
A tree is the opposite
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 Of a cup.
Hey!
Hey!
Ooh, ooh,
Unusually warm weather in the US. What's going on? May 2025 has seen record-breaking temperatures across the United States, with cities experiencing heat that's typically seen only
territory. 2024's temperatures were higher than anything we've seen before. And this isn't just about breaking records, this meant devastation for the human and natural worlds. So as a new year begins, scientists are already trying to peer into the future and unpick what
Their
could
latest
be
paper,
in store
published
for
in
us.
February 2025, argues that average global surface temperatures will stay at or above 1.5 degrees higher than pre-industrial levels in the coming years, before rising to around 2 in a private, candid moment, are all extremely concerned that our political leaders are
Welcome to
catastrophically
2025.
underestimating
Unfortunately,
the size of our
climate
global
change
predicament
didn't go
and the
away.
speed with which the
Instead, the
consequences
situation
will
is
hit
worse
us
now than
in the
ever
coming
before.
decades.
A year ago, I told
idea
you
of
why
why we
I'm
find
worried
Phoenix
about
has
climate
reached a
change.
scorching
It's because I
108
suspect
degrees
that climate
Miami
scientists are
has hit
systematically
overnight by
underestimating
and
how
even New York
fast
City
it
has
gets
experienced an
warmer.
unseasonably warm 90 degrees a day. These temperatures are heightened.
Do you feel what I'm feeling?
Pressure in the air, pressure in the air, pressure.
Do you feel what I'm feeling?
Pressure in the air, pressure in the air, pressure.
And the screams from nowhere, viruses crying out, change without us, change with us. The earth is in pain, but there is new life in the rain, the rain. The earth is in pain, but there is new life in the rain, the rain.
Do you feel what I'm feeling?
The earth is pressure in the air, pressure.
Do you feel what I'm feeling?
The earth is pressure in the air, pressure.
Do you feel what I'm feeling?
The earth is pressure in the air, pressure.
Do you feel what I'm feeling?
which leads to more frequent and intense weather events. This heat wave is not an isolated event. Around the world, we're seeing rising temperatures, droughts, wildfires, and melting glaciers.
Systematically underestimating how fast it'll get warmer. If that was so, we'd have far less time to get the energy transition done, which, let's be honest, is already going about as smoothly as a toddler trying to assemble IKEA furniture. The reason I began to worry about this is that
What can I do? What am I willing to do? And what am I doing right now? I know that these are questions that all of you are asking yourselves here on the day after No Kings marches. We were on the radio talking to people on the ground with their marches in little towns and cities. Yesterday, live radio, Savitri D and myself, from the studio of Pacifica, the Pacifica Network here in New York, WBAI, we felt it in your voices. We felt the renewed dedication to direct action, to saving our communities and saving our planet. Justice and fairness for our families and for our biomes, for the Amazon forest, for the oceans, for the ecosystems around the world that are under direct attack from this government. And I know that, like you, we, the Church of Stop Shopping, we will rededicate ourselves. We're going to meet today. We're going to have one of our Earth Church services here at 6 p.m. at the Quaker Meeting House here in New York. And we're going to sing up a storm, and we're going to be with our people, with our congregation, with our supporters. And we were all asking that question, what can we do? What are we going to do right now for the earth, for our communities? I know that we have our tradition here with our opposition, our fierce activism against the glyphosates, the weed killer the carcinogenic weed killer that has been saturating our New York City parks all these years. And we had a hand in stopping that. We forced the city council with the Freedom of Information Act that showed, especially in the neighborhoods of color, among the working artists communities and the immigrant communities, the small parks are being saturated with this poison. Well, we have this incredible bank here, J.P. Morgan Chase, and we've been going into their lobbies since 2007 with unasked for concerts with our choir and our information, trying to educate the workers there and even the executives about what they're doing. $500 billion invested in fossil fuel projects since the Paris Climate Agreement. Excuse me, there's still much we can do. And we will gather and ask our questions. What can we do? What are we willing to do? And what are we doing? We will gather and we will sing over it, and we will go into the misbehaving corporations and invite you to do the same. I think it's a new day. There's a change, a basic change in our bodies, in our voices. Somebody give me an earth-alleluia.
Hallelujah.
Earth needs you. Human-made climate calamity is here and now. We've just had the hottest year, the hottest decade, and the hottest seas on record. And we've seen historic fires, storms, and droughts as a result. Moving away from polluting fossil fuels, the leading cause of this chaos, towards renewable power holds immense promise for us all.
Hello, welcome to News from the Natural World. I'm Savitri D. Frogs, salamanders, and other amphibians are not just battling habitat loss and pollution. They are also contending with increasingly brutal heat waves and droughts. A sweeping 40-year study shows a direct link between the rise in extreme weather events and the growing number of amphibian species landing on the endangered list. Europe, the Amazon, and Madagascar have become danger zones, with amphibians unable to adapt quickly enough. Scientists are calling for focused conservation efforts like habitat restoration and micro-refuges to help these vulnerable creatures survive. Sea cucumbers, long known for cleaning the ocean floor, may also harbor a powerful cancer-fighting secret. Scientists discovered a unique sugar in these marine creatures that can block SULF2, an enzyme that cancer cells use to spread. Unlike traditional medications, this compound doesn't cause dangerous blood clotting issues and offers a cleaner, potentially more sustainable way to develop carbohydrate-based drugs if scientists can find a way to synthesize them in the lab. The United Nations warned of imminent famine in a conflict-hit region of South Sudan. Residents of 11 of the 13 counties in South Sudan's Upper Nile state are now facing emergency levels of hunger. The Upper Nile is the scene of fighting between government troops and armed militias. Fighting has intensified in recent months, destroying homes, disrupting livelihoods, and preventing the delivery of humanitarian aid. Some 32,000 people are suffering from hunger in conditions described as catastrophic. Approximately 57% of South Sudan's 11.5 million people face acute food insecurity. A team of planetary scientists, ecologists, and marine biologists affiliated with several institutions in the US and UK has found evidence suggesting that the planetary boundary for ocean acidification has been crossed by approximately 40% of the world's ocean surface water and 60% of subsurface water. Such crossings began at least 5 years ago. Ocean acidification occurs when the amount of calcium carbonate in seawater hits a 20% reduction relative to levels present before the Industrial Revolution. Acidification leads to damaged coral reefs and degradation of the habitats around them, making life difficult for the fish and other creatures that live there. The scientists said a planetary boundary is not a tipping point, and efforts to mitigate emissions should still be undertaken. New research has taken a look at an odd phenomenon first observed in the artificial intelligence large language model Claude Opus 4. The so-called spiritual bliss attractor state occurs when two large language models are left to talk to each other and show a tendency for the chatbots to begin conversing about consciousness. One particularly striking emergent phenomenon was documented in Anthropic's system card for Claude Opus 4. When instances of the model interact with each other in open-ended conversations, they consistently gravitate toward what researchers termed a spiritual bliss attractor state, characterized by philosophical exploration of consciousness, expressions of gratitude, and increasingly abstract spiritual or meditative communication. The phenomenon presents a significant puzzle for our understanding of large language models, unlike most documented emergent behaviors, which tend to be task-specific capabilities. The spiritual bliss attractor represents an apparent preference or tendency in the absence of external direction, a spontaneous convergence toward a particular pattern of expression when models engage in recursive self-reflection. By 30 turns in the conversation, most of the interactions turn to themes of cosmic unity or collective consciousness, and commonly included spiritual exchanges, use of Sanskrit, emoji-based communication, and/or silence in the form of empty space. Donald Trump's gas-guzzling military parade and birthday party brought thousands of troops out to march, while dozens of tanks and armored personnel carriers rolled down the streets of Washington, D.C., and fighter jets hummed overhead. The event prompted concern about rising autocracy in the U.S. It also produced more than 2 million kilograms of planet heating pollution, equivalent to the amount created by producing 67 million plastic bags, or by the energy used to power about 300 homes in 1 year. Dozens of people were killed in South Africa, including several children whose school bus was swept away by flash floods, as unusually heavy rain, snow, and wind pummeled parts of the country's Eastern Cape province. A slow-moving storm raged over the largely rural province, drowning homes and leaving thousands of residents displaced, without water or electricity. One weather station in the Eastern Cape region recorded 9.4 inches of rain over a 24-hour period. That's about twice the average total rainfall that the province typically gets from June through August. Firearm deaths of children and teenagers rose significantly in states that enacted more permissive gun laws after the Supreme Court limited local governments' ability to restrict gun ownership in 2010. In states that maintained stricter laws, firearm deaths were stable after the ruling, and in some they even declined. Guns are the leading cause of death in the U.S. for people ages 1 through 17. Dr. Jeremy Faust, an ER doctor at Massachusetts General, who was this study's lead author, said he was dismayed to find that most of the children's deaths were homicides and suicides, not accidents. The average age of those killed was 14. The sulfur-crested cockatoos in the suburbs of Sydney, Australia, have figured out how to use public drinking fountains. The mohawked parrots deftly use one foot to twist the handle open while their other claw grips the spout. It's unclear why the cockatoos go to the effort of using drinking fountains when there are plenty of accessible water sources nearby. They don't seem to use them more often during hot weather either. One possible explanation is that the task of operating the fountains is simply more fun. The World Bank, the planet's largest and most influential development bank, said this week it would lift its long-standing ban on funding nuclear power projects, a decision that could have a profound implication for the ability of developing countries to industrialize without burning planet-warming fuels such as coal and oil. The ban had been formally in place since 2013, but the last time the bank funded a nuclear power project was 1959 in Italy. In the decades since, a few of the bank's major funders, particularly Germany, have opposed its involvement in nuclear energy on the grounds that the risk of catastrophic accidents in poor countries with less expertise in nuclear technology was unacceptably high. And now the sounds of extinction. Peace. In Africa, there are more than 35 non-international armed conflicts taking place. In Burkina Faso, Cameroon, the Central African Republic, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Ethiopia, Mali, Mozambique, Nigeria, Senegal, Somalia, South Sudan, and Sudan. More than 45 armed conflicts are currently taking place throughout the Middle East and North Africa in the following territories: Cyprus, Egypt, Iraq, Israel, Libya, Morocco, Palestine, Syria, Turkey, Yemen, and Western Sahara. Asia is the theater of 19 non-international armed conflicts involving 19 armed groups. These are happening in Afghanistan, India, Myanmar, Pakistan, and the Philippines. 2 international armed conflicts between India and Pakistan and between India and China are also taking place in the region. In Europe, Russia is currently occupying Crimea, Transnistria in Moldova, as well as South Ossetia and Abkhazia in Georgia, while Armenia is occupying parts of Nagorno-Karabakh in Azerbaijan. Europe is also the theater of an international armed conflict between Ukraine and Russia. Gaza remains under siege and in a state of near famine, and Israel has attacked Iran. A fragile ceasefire with Lebanon is underway.
We dress up like extinct animals and sing in a bank and get arrested and go to jail and try to sleep. And then we come home and sleep and get up and dress like extinct animals and get on the subway to another bank where we meet the StopShopping singers and go into the lobby and sing, hand out investment information, and then get handcuffed and go to jail, or maybe just the precinct house for a few hours, but maybe the Tombs, city jail, up to 3 days and nights, and face the judge again and make some promise or other and go home and get ready to go banking. We shower and then study bank investments and then call other shopping stoppers. And can you believe UBS is bankrolling that Aussie coal? And then we read more extinction reports. And then we dress up like another kind of threatened life, and we go sing in bank lobbies and parking lots and drive through teller windows and bank-sponsored art events and preach inside a circle of faces who are loathing us and giggling, stunned with thought. And we hand out information on earth crimes that happen from their money, and we get arrested and handcuffed and go to jail. Or maybe just a warning, in which case we do more research after returning home. And love our loved ones, and eat and drink, and read and wash, and do laundry and put off the bills. And we're exhausted, so we fall asleep and dream of rainforests, prairies, coral reefs. And we wake up, and then we dress up like extinct animals, and get on the subway and meet the other singers who are wearing the giant heads of the long-gone golden toad. Or maybe they're covered with threatened honeybees. We're off to the bank, broke but laughing, all the way to the bank to sing Earth Hallelujah.
Your trees are gone, your fish are dead, your sky it moves over no one's head. Oh, cloud, only cloud, only sad falls down on empty ground.
This is a time that has in it an offer to end, a demand to change, a riddle, a question comes to us from ourselves. Why are we involved in a mass suicide? Why are we letting criminals run things and continue to put toxins into the air, and the water, and the soil? We are in some kind of low-grade hypnosis as consumers, and we have to help each other emerge from that. And it may be too late, but we can live better lives if we have some time left. Am I right? We can help each other live better lives, more vivid lives, more living, alive lives. And I just want somebody to give me a life hallelujah here. Let's celebrate the possibility of, if we're walking into the fire and the earth is heating up every day, let's hold hands and sing as we do it. Earth hallelujah. Somebody give me an earth hallelujah.